Alright, and we back on the forecast. Now, normally I wouldn't talk about a case with so little information. And if the accusations are true, I don't condone it at all. And he will pay for it. But to me, there are some red flags about the case with the ex-NFL player. Kellen Winslow Jr. was charged with a number of felonies, including rape, kidnapping, burglary. And again, if it is true, I don't condone it, and he will be punished. But all of this started because he was in a trailer park and some random white woman racially profiled him.
Some new information as we hear from the neighbor who says she confronted Kellen Williams Jr. at a mobile home park in Encinitas. Now, we're looking at video of Williams bailing out of the Vista Detention Center early this morning after being arrested for burglary. Williams is a former NFL player and the son of legendary Chargers receiver Kellen Williams. 10 News anchor Jim Patton joins us live from Encinitas. Jim, so the neighbor says she wanted answers.
Yeah, that's right. And right off the top, I want to mention, Virginia, typo on my part in racing to get that script in. It's Winslow, not Williams, but that's how I typed it in, and I apologize for that. But in any case, yeah, she confronted him, you know, a strange man to her. She wanted to know what he was doing in her neighbor's apartment, and she says what he told her, she didn't believe for a second.
I looked, and it was this big black Hummer truck with the Thule rack, and I went, why is this at my house?
It was about 2 p.m. Thursday when a resident of the Park Encinitas mobile homes, who asked not to be identified, heard the sound of a loud vehicle outside her home.
He pulled in front of my driveway, parked in front of my window, which was open. And the sound of the truck was so loud that, I thought it was a delivery.
It turned out it was a large Hummer SUV that she photographed. The man inside, now identified by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department as Kellen Winslow Jr. He headed into her neighbor's home, likely through an open sliding glass door.
So I could see through my blinds. I saw his feet, white shoes and white socks.
She says he wore shorts and a t-shirt like athletic wear and was in the home for about 10 minutes before coming out.
I confronted him and I said, hi, can I help you with anything? And he said, nope, just looking for my dog. I go, what dog? And he said, well, it's a red dog, Clifford. And I went, there's no dog here. I said, I'm not comfortable with this, you need to leave. And he just stood there and he just went, all right then.
The woman says the man's demeanor was calm the entire time. One of her neighbors, a married couple in their 80s, was home at the time and never knew Kellen was inside.
I don't think they realize the severity of everything.
And another bizarre aspect to this is that the neighbor, or I should say Kellen, inside the home at some point took off his t-shirt. When he came out, he was carrying his t-shirt. He didn't appear to be carrying anything else. The sheriff's deputies did catch up with him about a half mile from here where the arrest was made.
Now, as far as the burglary charge, I'm not buying it. Why would you go to a trailer park in a Hummer worth more than the houses there just to go rob somebody? Plus, they couldn't name one thing that he took. And the white woman who called the police even said she didn't see anything that he took. So I'm not buying the burglary story. But then later, it comes out that he's been raping elderly women, which I assume were white women, and the cops charge him with a number of felonies.
The son of a Chargers legend accused of raping older women. New at 5 o'clock, we are diving deeper into disturbing new sex crime charges against Kellen Winslow Jr. Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt in for Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Brian Schlonsky in for Steve Atkinson. The former football star faces 8 felony counts. 10 News reporter Steve Fiorina was there in court today as Winslow denied the charges. And Steve, Winslow's father there too as his son faced a judge.
He was, and denial, yes, of course, it's an arraignment. You must plead not guilty. That's exactly what happened here today. Kellen Winslow II charged with 8 felony counts, including 5 victims, and the DA says there may be more out there. If there are, he wants them to come forward. We have video of Winslow in court as he stood shackled as the prosecutor detailed the charges against him. This includes 2 forcible rapes within his vehicle, a Hummer. There was also a charge of indecent exposure, and then a 4th and 5th residential burglary with intent to commit rape. These cases all involved, as you said, older women ages 54 up to 86. Now, 2 of the women were transients, and the DA says that they were threatened as well. Now, Kellen Winslow Sr., who was a superstar with the San Diego Chargers years ago, in court today in support of his son. His wife sent a note out earlier saying that they support him and they do love him. Now, we also talked to the DA afterwards about the threats that were made and how that helped lead to the no bail status for Winslow.
The reported victims, Jane Does 1 and 2, each indicated that Mr. Winslow had threatened to kill them if they were to report what had happened to them.
Now again, no bail. Winslow will be in court later this month. If he's convicted, he faces life in prison.
Now, he did plead not guilty, but I don't know what's going on with the elderly part. But this is not the first NFL player charged with harming an elderly white woman. Not too long ago, they charged Michael Bennett with a felony for harming an elderly white woman.
An indictment today against an NFL player who rushed the field after the 2017 Super Bowl. He was a spectator, not a player. And in his effort to get to the field, he allegedly knocked over a woman in a wheelchair, leaving her injured. But coming more than a year after the incident, there are a lot of questions about this case.
Now, a Houston grand jury has just charged Michael Bennett with intentionally and knowingly causing bodily injury to a person 65 years or older. Cops say Bennett pushed a 66-year-old woman in a wheelchair out of the way to get to the field. She was working crowd control.
He may have thought that, number one, rules don't apply to him. Number two, he doesn't have to respect the dignity of a paraplegic woman who's trying to earn a living.
Michael Bennett's sister Ashley was also there. She just released this cell phone video. You can hear her excitement. Then the video cuts to Michael running on the field. It does not show the alleged incident he's charged with. We spoke with attorney Royal Oakes.
The fact that there's no video of the incident is a problem for the prosecution, but if the witnesses who were there are credible enough, and of course the facts are bad enough in terms of a powerful football player up against a 66-year-old female paraplegic security officer, that really looks bad for the player.
All I can tell you is that when this is all over, everybody will know that Michael's not guilty.
Now, as far as Michael Bennett, I don't believe that at all. With as many video cameras they have at the Super Bowl, they don't have any video evidence for the 66-year-old paraplegic in a wheelchair that he pushed over. They were probably trying to send him a message because he stood with Kaepernick and had a run-in with the Las Vegas police. As far as Kellen Winslow Jr., I don't know if he's guilty or not. But I do know, as a black man, if you're accused by a white woman, you're guilty until proven innocent. And even then, you're still guilty sometimes. Even before the Me Too movement, white woman accusations have gotten black cities burnt to the ground. It has gotten countless black men murdered. And based off history, I wouldn't just take a white woman's word. But the point is, as black men dealing with white women, it has always been dangerous. In 1983, down in Georgia, a brother by the name of Timothy Coggins was brutally murdered by 2 white men just for socializing with a white woman.
New at 4, investigators say they are close to solving a murder they now consider a hate crime. Someone killed a 23-year-old man 34 years ago. Now new clues have detectives hopeful they'll solve this cold case. Channel 2's Richard Elliott is live in Spalding County with the information that led deputies to reopen this investigation. Richard?
This was a horrible crime. In 1983, deputies found the body of Timothy Coggins here along Minter Road, right over there by those power lines. 34 years later, investigators now think they are close, finally, to finding out who did it. It happened along this dusty stretch of Minter Road, not far from the town of Sunnyside. Deputies discovered the body of this man, 23-year-old Timothy Coggins. It was October 1983.
It was a horrible death. It was a torturous death.
34 years later, Spalding County Sheriff Darrell Dick says they got new information through the GBI, information from someone that he says shed new light on existing evidence and could lead them to several arrests. Because he feels they're close to solving the murder, the sheriff couldn't release many details of the homicide, except to say he does believe this was a hate crime.
But the people who did it They know what it was. The people who committed the crime know how he was killed, and those are the people that we're coming after.
It has been 34 years, but Minter Road looks about the same. It's still a dirt road, and one neighbor who didn't want to go on camera said it did involve power lines just like this one. But again, it was 34 years ago. Not a lot of the neighbors are the same. The ones who live here now are shocked by this news.
I think it's horrible. It's sad that that would happen. It's interesting to know about the area. I hope they find who done it and justice is served. I really do.
So how did this stay quiet for 34 years? Well, the sheriff believes the suspects actually intimidated witnesses into silence for those 34 years. Coming up at 6, how some of those witnesses, they say, are finally coming forward.
So one night, the young brother Timothy Coggins was at a club, and two white men, Franklin Gebhardt and William Moore, saw him dancing with a white woman. Witnesses say after the club, they saw him getting into a car with 3 white men. And his family said most of his friends were white, but I don't know where any of his white friends were when he was being murdered. But witnesses say he was going to a town called Sunnyside, where 2 days later, his body was found with 17 stab wounds, 6 slicing wounds. They tied a chain around his body and drug him down the street with their car. They found him by some power lines close to one of those white men's property. The investigator at the time, Larry Campbell, claimed they knew very little about the mysterious killing, and they didn't know what motive they had or why they would do it or who did it at all. All he knew was the death was very brutal and he was worked over by a knife pretty good. I guess that's as far as their investigation went. Those 2 white men, Franklin Gebhardt and William Moore, were proud of what they did, and they bragged about killing his brother for years, admitting to family and friends that they stabbed him 28 to 32 times because they say he was messing with his girlfriend. And one of the things these racist white men hate the most is a black man with a white woman. And they'd be real butthurt if they found out how many white women tried black men at least once. But another witness said during an argument, he said he got away with murder once and he'll do it again. One witness even said he bragged about dragging a nigga down the street because he was talking to a white woman, and that he missed the days you can kill a nigga for no reason. He also threatened one of his wives that if she keep it up, she'll end up in a ditch like that nigga. So 34 years later, after the fact, now these witnesses decide to speak up.
Developing now, we're learning grim new details in a 34-year-old murder case that police call racially motivated. A GBI agent testified the murder of Timothy Coggins in Spalding County may have been over a woman. And Channel 2's Richard Elliott reports the 2 suspects may have bragged about the killing for decades.
Deputies led Frankie Gebhardt and then Bill Moore into a magistrate courtroom to hear the case against them. A magistrate court judge needed to decide if she would send the case on to Superior Court. Gebhardt and Coggins are accused of killing Timothy Coggins back in 1983. GBI agent Jared Coleman said the 2 men stabbed Coggins nearly 30 times, then chained his body to the back of a pickup truck and dragged him into the woods. Coleman said over the years, Gebhardt and Moore bragged to witnesses about the killing.
When these individuals were talking to these witnesses, that they were ashamed of what they had done. Did they regret what they had done?
You mean the defendants?
Yes.
No, ma'am, they were proud of what they had done.
The GBI believes the 2 may have carried out the murder because Coggins was socializing with a white woman.
They felt that they were doing the right thing by almost like they were protecting the white race from black people.
Judge, these defendants exhibited knowledge about details of a gruesome murder that the public did not know. They have worn it as a badge of honor since 1983.
The suspect's attorney brought up that the motive could also have been a drug deal gone bad. Either way, the judge agreed there was enough evidence to proceed.
Well, of course, this is an emotional, heart-wrenching journey that we're on.
Outside the courtroom, the Coggins family said hearing these new details for the first time was hard on all of them.
Extremely difficult to hold your tears, to hold your emotions, to contain your emotions, listening to gruesome details of a loved one that was by himself.
Over 30 years later, and now the family grows a conscience. These witnesses claim they were threatened, so I guess they had to let them live a full life before they could snitch on them. And when it comes to our blood being spilled, it takes the police decades to find out anything about the murder. And somehow they could never figure out the motives, even if the person admitted. But 34 years later, those 2 white men, Franklin Gebhardt and William Moore, were charged and arrested. Also, Officer Lamar Bun and his mother Sandra Bun was arrested for helping cover up the murder, along with another detention officer, Gregory Huffman. But I'm sure they're not the only ones that helped cover this particular murder up. But they were charged with obstruction of justice, and they were arrested too. So it only took the police 34 years to admit that it was a hate crime and it was based off race. And their excuse was, well, it was only 2 cops at the time. Well, 1 cop got charged with obstruction of justice, but he said now they'll call it a hate crime. But it was a hate crime then. This young brother, Timothy Coggins, was murdered for socializing with white women. Even though it seems like he preferred to be friends with white people, that still did not save him. America has always said they're willing to sacrifice black lives for the safety of white women. And things won't change until we put aside our tribalism and do what we have to do to protect ourselves and respond with more urgency than the dominant society does to keep their position. We're all we got, and we have to protect each other.
Well, tonight, investigators say a 34-year-old Spalding County cold case is finally solved. 23-year-old Timothy Coggins was found murdered October 9th, 1983. Well, tonight, 2 men are charged with a murder. 3 others, including 2 police officers, are in jail for obstruction. Chris Hopper spoke with Coggins' family tonight. And Chris, what was their reaction to today's news?
Well, around 34 years is a very long time. Coggins' niece says the family has been grieving for 3 decades. They didn't think this day would come. Coggins' parents have since died. His mother passed late last year. But justice for Tim was always their hope.
And even on her dying deathbed, she said she spoke of Tim's name. And so, you know, she still wanted justice for her son, even on her deathbed 33 years later.
Tonight, 34 years and 4 days after Timothy Coggins' murder, 59-year-old Frankie Gebhardt and 58-year-old Bill Moore Sr. are in jail. Lamar Bun, an officer with the Milner Police Department, and his mother, Sandra Bun, were both charged with obstruction. So was Gregory Huffman, a detention officer with the Spalding County Sheriff's Office. He was arrested and fired today. A case that went cold got new life this summer when media reports led to new information from the public. Spalding County Sheriff Daryl Dick says this is a racially motivated crime that would have been a hate crime had it happened in 2017.
And the satisfaction will come when these 2 gentlemen are convicted of this murder and they are in prison for the rest of their lives. That will be satisfying.
We thought that it just had been forgotten. I mean, it's been so many years ago. We didn't think anyone was thinking about Tim or his case or trying to solve try to get the people that did this to him. So no, we didn't think that this day would ever come, but we're grateful that it did.
And tonight, police aren't releasing a motive in this case. They're keeping that to themselves. They want to make sure not to jeopardize the situation moving forward, Ron.
All right, so the question tonight, Chris, why was this a cold case for so long?
So Ron, the sheriff says it was a different time. Only 2 investigators back then. Plus, he says the suspects were local and intimidated folks who knew what happened. Now, it's important to note Moore and Gebhardt both have extensive criminal histories. It's also important to note, Ron, the sheriff believes there may be more arrests coming, but he does believe they have the killers behind bars.
Tonight, a Mid-South woman is charged with driving around with children in dog kennels. Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg Coy. This story has exploded on Facebook on our Fox 13 page. Take a look at this video that has gone viral. A man recorded it on his cell phone right outside of Graceland. Fox 13's Shelby Sansone is at 201 Poplar. And Shelby, this woman is facing child endangerment charges.
Police tell me that the woman drove from Whitehaven to Collierville with the kids inside of those kennels. I decided to find out how long of a drive that is. So if you take a look at this map that I got, you can see that from Graceland to the suburb, it would take 27 minutes, which is why that woman will be back here at 201 Poplar tomorrow in order to face a judge. And videos are constantly taken at Graceland. Normally, they don't send someone to jail. On Saturday, police charged 62-year-old Lemoyne Cheeks with 2 counts of child endangerment after this video went viral. Take a look. It shows a woman letting children out of dog kennels in the back of a Ford Explorer.
She doesn't seem like the type of person that would do that.
Camilla Cowan lives down the street from Cheeks and was horrified to see the video.
When I saw her face on Facebook, I was like, wait a minute, that looked like my neighbor across the street.
I knocked on Cheeks' door. No one answered, but we did see the car in the driveway. Police say in the police report that 2 young children rode from Whitehaven to Collierville in these kennels and went driving downtown. Cheeks told police there was no room in the car. Jeremy Chilson is a father of 2. He thinks parents and guardians need to take more responsibility.
I don't even let my kids sit in the air conditioner in the vehicle by themselves. I mean, and I've seen numerous times I pull up to the gas station beside a vehicle and there's kids in the car and the car ain't even running.
The report says the children told officers it was hot in the kennels. MPD says the temperature reached 95 Saturday and there were no vents in the rear of the Explorer.
That's crazy. I would never expect anybody to do that.
Cowan tells me she always sees the children playing with the dogs in the front yard. She says she doubts Cheeks knew she was putting the kids' lives in danger.
Really, I really don't think that she knew it was wrong, because ain't no way she would have done it.
Cheeks is out on a $100 bond, and she will be in court tomorrow at 9 o'clock to answer to those charges.
Nigel, the video was given to us by someone concerned with what they saw. Today, we also talked to the father of the 16-year-old student in the video. He says he's concerned too. The video recorded last week during 10th grade honors math class at Palmetto High. The teacher, Lisa Houston, who spent her entire 27-year career at the school, is seen on a desk. She told WYFF News 4 she was attempting to wake a student, seen nudging him with her foot and hand, tugging on his hair. After a concern was raised over the video, Houston told us, "If you ask any kid I've taught, they'll tell you I kid around with them, make them stay awake and laugh with them. Nobody sees the rapport I have with this child or any other kid I've taught. I know the video looks bad. If you don't know the situation, you don't know what's going on, but it was not a malicious act. It was all in fun. I want the public to know that I love the student and that our rapport with each other was great. I would have never done anything to hurt him." While the father of the student said he and the teen's mother are concerned about the video, they're not commenting on it at this time. Houston says the student made a statement to the school, but the district says due to privacy rights, they can't release that statement to WYFF News 4. Anderson District 1 Assistant Superintendent Jane Harrison did say, although the district is unable to comment in detail about the matter, the administration took seriously what occurred, and the teacher, who has had an exemplary record of teaching performance, decided of her own accord that she would retire in the best interest of her school. Houston's attorney Ryan Beasley also sent us a statement which said in part, "My client has a 27-year unblemished record teaching in the public schools. She is devastated over what has occurred. This short clip lacking any audio does not tell the whole story. We are confident that as more facts come to light, her reputation as an excellent and loving teacher will be restored."
Pool. There are 3 other people over there. There's 3 other people over there. You didn't ask them. They're right over there right now. They've been over there. When you asked me, they were there. Relax.
A caught on camera tense racial standoff at a luxury Pasadena hotel. Tonight, what set this white man and this black woman off. A very tense confrontation at the 5-star Westin Hotel. A black woman says she was the victim of blatant racism.
And tonight, the hotel has taken swift action after this ugly incident. KCAL's Crystal Cruz is live in Pasadena with that story. Crystal.
Hi, Susie. This mom says this guy was verbally harassing her at the pool, and she wasn't having any of it, and he was claiming that he was the health inspector, according to her, and she wasn't buying that either.
You had no right to do what you did.
I simply asked them if they showered.
Okay, we have our general manager coming up here. Okay.
Because that's part of the rules. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of getting in the pools and people consider baths.
An outraged mother is heard on cell phone video claiming the Caucasian man in the blue striped shirt asked her and her daughter, who are African American, if they showered before getting into the pool at the Westin Hotel in Pasadena.
But you didn't ask anyone else. You didn't ask anyone else. You asked me if I showered. You're the one in the pool. There's plenty of people over there in the pool. You're the one in the pool. There are 3 other people over there.
The shouting got the attention of hotel staff.
I think he was I apologize. He had no business.
It's everybody's business when there's
we travel all the time.
Google it. Google the diseases in pools.
The manager of the hotel also came down.
Listen, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. Sir, I usually leave. Of course. Please, thank you very much. Ladies over here.
You don't know who he is.
Ladies over here.
Carly Wheeler from Texas posted the video on social media, along with a second video with her thoughts.
It's just sad that in 2018, we are still dealing with these issues and still having to teach our children things that people had to teach their children in the 50s and 60s. Nothing has changed.
Management at the Westin confirmed the incident happened at the pool and told us the man in blue doesn't work for the hotel and they don't suspect he's a health inspector. They also sent us a statement that reads, "In light of recent events, we feel it important to share that we do not condone the comments or behavior directed towards our pool guests. The safety and security of our guests is our top priority, and we strive to maintain an environment where our guests feel welcome and are treated with equal respect and attention from our team." And according to management here at the Westin, they picked up the woman's hotel stay. As for the man, he is not allowed back here at the hotel.
Put your hands on me, nigger. No, I ain't gonna put my, I'm gonna kill your bitch. You gonna kill me? Come on, nigger. You putting cameras on me? Come on.
I am.
Put cameras, nigger. I run this country. I run this country. You don't. You put cameras. I run this country. You guys are dead.
Okay.
Look at that dog right
Get
there.
out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
I didn't say that. It's not that.
You running with these niggers? Get the fuck out of my face. You run with these niggers?
You get out of this neighborhood. You're in the wrong neighborhood.
Wrong neighborhood? My people are gonna bury you. Look at this shit. Yeah, I'm the president. Man, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No, shut the fuck up. Your neighborhood?
Yeah.
We built these streets.
No, they didn't.
White man built these streets.
No, they did not.
Yeah, they did. White man built these streets.